Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for watching. My name is Brian. This is Game Brigade, and we are doing the Kickstarter roundup for all the games that are ending this week on Kickstarter, GameFound, Backer Kit potentially, whatever it is. We are officially on schedule for keeping this show on time on a Monday, so good job to me. Thank you guys for keeping me accountable. So today we're going to be going through some of the campaigns that are ending, and I'm also going to give you guys my pick of the week. That's something I used to do and I completely forgot, so we're going to bring that back for this episode. So without further ado, let's go to the first game. So we're going to be doing this section again. I just realized that I forgot to switch the camera over to show you what the hell I'm talking about. I've been sitting here with my big head. I'll probably put that at the end, like my reaction when I realize that. So at the end of this video, if you want to see me have a minor bliff, whatever they're called, check that out. Okay, so let's do this again. Old King's Crown, A Tale of Royalty, Rebels, and Ruses. This is by Eerie Idle Games. It plays 1 to 4 players in about 60 to 90 minutes. Now, as I mentioned in the first time I did this, I'm going to be doing my old thing I used to do, which was a pick of the week. I used to do pick of the weeks when I do these shows about like a year and a half ago. So I think I'm going to redo that again, tell you guys what games I'm very much impressed with or going with or whatever. So Old King is gone. Effectively, the story of this game is the Old King's missing. You are a heir to one of the kingdoms here in the region, and you are going to be competing against your other players for eventual power. This game features bidding, bluffing, emergent gameplay, hand management, all things I very, very much enjoy in games lately. And really, our table has been very much enjoying those types of games as well. So I'm really, really excited to see what this has. So what is this game doing? How does it work? What are we seeing? Well, the first thing you're going to be doing is picking a asymmetrical faction, which is going to be taking basically going to give you your cards and all your abilities and powers that are unique to your faction. There are 4 total factions currently in the game. And then in the spring section, which is the first phases, the phases are broken down into 4 phases: spring, summer, winter, or fall and winter. In spring, you're going to be sending out your followers and your heralds to different locations. There's 6 total locations you can send your pieces to try to get influence or power or bluff influence and basically make your opponents think you might be doing something else or different. Because in summer, you are actually going to be playing cards from your hand, which are going to trigger abilities and powers based on where your heralds and followers are. This is part of that bidding system. Really, really cool thing there. And then in the autumn, you're going to reveal those cards and take effects of what is happening. I also like that the players that are kind of behind have a little bit of a catch-up mechanic in this area. And then in winter, we're going to be doing some more hand management and then wrapping up for end of the year as we do it all over again until a player has achieved the most victory points or the necessary victory points. I think it's like 15. Really, really impressed with what we have here. And as I said this the first time, Old King's Crown will be getting my pick of the week. I think there's a lot of things going on here that I think are really cool. I really appreciate the fact that it is a first-time publisher coming out with a really quality title. Looks like very good gameplay that's kind of been synced. I would love to have played it. That's the only thing is I haven't played it, so I don't know officially how well it plays, but I do like the ideas that are happening here. If we go down the rewards, you can see that the base game is £52, roughly about $65. The British pound has really fallen off based on what it used to be. And then the £85 or $107 if you're looking for the base game plus the Wild Kingdom expansion. The other thing to note, if we come down here, shipping is, if you're based in the UK, if I can find it, it's £8 for UK people, if I can ever find it. Here we go. And US backed players are £15 or £16 based on if you get the expansion or not. And VAT is not included in the sales price of this. So if you are a European or EU UK backer, be aware that you will be applicable for your country's VAT taxes. So that is Old King's Crown, A Tale of Royalty, Rebel, and Ruses. Really impressive game. My pick of the week. The next one we're going to be diving into is Stars of Akarios 1.5 plus new content from Open Owl Studios, formerly Games. If you guys watch my videos, you'll know that I do that every time I have the opportunity. 1 to 4 players, 60 minutes per session. Stars of Akarios is a game that I have reviewed. I have covered this several times. I still own it. Mine's somewhere on this wall that you cannot see. And I have some mixed feelings about Stars of Akarios, so I'm not currently backing this one, but I have considered backing the new content, the 1.5. So let's talk about it. What is Stars of Akarios? Stars of Akarios is, in a nutshell, a Gloomhaven-like space game where there are several variations of gameplay that you are going to experience. I would say there's 3 solid types of gameplay that you're going to experience in this game. The main type of gameplay is the space combat, very akin to X-Wing, where you're going to be controlling your player character who has a specific ship with upgrades. You're going to be flying on the hexagonal board against the AI enemy who has AI cards that'll dictate what they do based on the terrain or the location of opponents. So you're going to be killing and fighting kind of in a 3-dimensional space, but also on a 2D board, obviously, right? So you're going to be fighting those aliens there. Then they have an exploration section. Let me see if I can find something that kind of would show that. So right here, you have an exploration section. So when you land on a planet, you have a deck of cards that are for that specific planet, and you'll reveal those planets as you move through and explore, very much like, I cannot remember the name of the game. Oh my God, it's the one on the island. I can't remember. I literally can't remember the name of the game. But there's a game where you would flip these tiles, you look at the board, really good art on these, and then you're going to have different types of challenges that you're going to, it's really frustrating me that I can't remember the name of that game, that you go to an island and you die and you have to reset. It's really frustrating. Anyways, side tangent done. This one, as you explore these different types of territories, there's going to be skill checks and things that you're going to be doing to accomplish different types of tasks. Maybe there's a locked door, and if you have some sort of engineering or technical skills, you might be able to open that door, or you're going to have to brute force it, things like that. And then there's going to be a story narrative built into that. The other part of the gameplay is the story narrative aspect, which is kind of be almost like reading Choose Your Own Adventure. You're going to read a section and it's going to say, if you want to talk to the captain, go to page 142. If you want to flip the captain off, go to page 147, something like that. And then you will go through with whatever happens and get to a narrative decisions. And sometimes you actually have narrative decision paths that will branch off into different missions based on your story choices, which was cool. So that's the gameplay. That's Stars of Akarios in a nutshell. 1.5, what is new in 1.5 is going to be fixing some things that were very big issues with this game. First thing, rulebook. Rulebook was okay, playable, had some issues. Rework space exploration. The space exploration was very similar to the ground exploration, but really not that exciting. You just kind of flow around. Not a lot of stuff happened, so they're reworking that, which is a bonus. Scenario booklet, reworking, just going over the stories. I hope they also worked on the actual narrative things in the scenario booklet, but we'll see. Rebalancing space combat, that's a positive because the space combat was relatively easy. We never really lost any times we played. Changing unique starting loadouts, good on that. Changes with the world explanation, benefits there, and redesigned upgrade cards. So this is kind of an upgrade card you can see here that kind of will show you what you would be able to do on your ship if you had this ability. So what are my thoughts on Stars of Akarios? This is getting into a long video. Stars of Akarios was an okay game. And in terms of protection of yourself and buying this, in terms of financial protection, I had a very hard time selling my copy of this game. And I've seen the standard pledge right here, which they did sell for $170 on their web store. Not even selling at $90. So just be aware of that. This did not hold its value the first time it came through because I think the reviews on it were very, very hard. Does the gameplay fix of 1.5 change that? I don't know. but I want to make sure you guys are aware that this did not hold its value comparatively to its pledge-based the first time in the first session. They also have new gameplay elements here. So you've got the upgrade pack that we just kind of went through and talked about. We don't need to go over that again. But then we have 2 new expansions they're also including, which is the Battle of Akarios. This is a kind of like a one-off space combat. And then they have a drones one, which is another scenario pack. Personally, as I said, this is like Gloomhaven. It's got a lot of content in the base game. I don't necessarily think you're going to really need additional content for this title. So just be aware of that. I don't think this is something I would chase down. If you are interested in what I've been talking about with the different types of gameplay where it's melded 3 different types of games into a Gloomhaven-like board game, this is a decent showing. I don't think you're going to need all the things. So there you go. That's Stars of Akarios 1.5. Let's take a look at some of these pledges just real quick. You've got the gameplay pledge. We talked about that, $200. If you want to pick up those things, includes all the new stuff. You have the everything new gameplay, which is what we just talked about. The standard pledge at $130. The everything new $160. And then the ultimate pledge, which I believe this comes with like the terrain kit. Yeah, you get the terrain kit. You get the Stars of Akarios box. You get the ships of Akarios. I have the ships of Akarios. I actually appreciate these. These are all the enemy ships that you're going to be facing. It gives a little bit more breadth of life to the game, but there are standees that are good and serviceable. So if you want to save money and not get the ships, I would totally understand that as well. And you have the all-in pledge. This is what I originally bought, was the all-in. So the neoprene mat, the art book, the journal, things like this are just really not necessarily needed. So just heed my advice. The game's not bad. I hope the 1.5 truly fixes it. And $130 is the same price as like what Gloomhaven might have been when it first launched. So it's not a totally bad price, but I think you might be able to find this on the secondary market for a substantially cheaper price if you decided to wait. So that's your options there. So that is Stars of Akarios 1.5. Next, we have Dracula's Curse, a bloodthirsty board game by Retro Pulse Games. 3 to 6 players, plays in 90 to 120 minutes. And this is basically a roguelike dungeon crawler game akin to games like Castlevania, the video game. But it's also basically feeling very much like Betrayal at House on the Hill to me. So in this game, I will see if there's no gifts here. If you watch this video gives you a good idea of kind of what's going to be happening here. You're going to be basically moving your character pawn around the board that is procedurally generated by drawing different types of cards. Very much like I said with Betrayal House on the Hill, these rooms are going to have different types of rooms, and then potentially traps that Dracula is going to be triggering against you. And each player has their own asymmetrical powers and abilities that they can take advantage of, as well as these items that they can get advantage of to try to defeat Dracula. But at some point in the game, just like a Betrayal, there is going to become a hidden traitor element where one of the players is going to convert sides and go from the good team to the evil team as they try to defeat the players with the assistance of Dracula. And at some point in the game, Dracula will form. He will get enough blood tokens here to create himself and become the threat, as the players will need to eventually defeat Dracula, as well as the player who was eventually taken over. So that is the game. I'm surprised at how well this has been doing in terms of what I've been seeing here. They do feature that they're not using any AI art, which is kind of cool on that regard. But it seems like an interesting game. The one thing that is very annoying to me, and I want to make sure I'm calling this out now every time I've seen it. If you watched last week's episodes, I was confused as between a VIP section and a retail edition Kickstarter special. There was a Bear Mountain game that brought that up, and I was confused, and someone made a comment saying that they are effectively the same, because I sat here trying to figure out what's the difference between these two pledge levels. And they are effectively the same. And this is And actually, Alex Radcliffe talked, not Alex, yeah, Alex Radcliffe talked about this in one of his recent videos. We talked about it in my Discord as well, and how I was so frustrated that I think this is so scammy that publishers are doing this. So this VIP special edition is intended to be a limited pledge, where there's limited amount of slots for people at a discounted price. The standard pledge, which is the Kickstarter special, what they're claiming, is the same pledge, but it is more expensive, $55 to $69. There are 29 backers currently backing this pledge, which is the same one as this one at $55. They're just paying more money for that. And what happens is this might have a limited section to it. They might say 5 backers available left or something like that. And so maybe that fills up, and then someone else comes in, and the publisher hasn't had a chance to go in there and change the numbers and say now there's 25 more available. So some person comes and has to back this one because they think they missed out on the early bird. This is a new thing I'm seeing, and it drives me nuts. And I hope this does not come a new standard in Kickstarter. I think it's really, really scummy. So you have the VIP retail edition for $75. The VIP is the cheaper price. Then down here you have the same thing at $89. So you're seeing that same thing here. You have 1,700 people who have pledged this VIP version, but 101 people have backed this $89 one. Are they aware of that? I don't know. And then you've got this collector's edition, 105. This is by itself, so there's nothing there. And then you have the Founders Pledge at $249. This is including a poster that will not be sold, so if you want to take advantage of that. You also have your name in the instruction manual if that is something that you appreciate. So yeah, this is the Dracula board game. Very much reminds me of Betrayal at House on the Hill. The art is not my style, and it's also very much infusing like Japanese culture with like Dracula, Romanian stuff. So it's kind of an interesting crossover here that they got going on. But yeah, I mean, if this is your thing, it's not for me. And I really don't appreciate the VIP thing. So we will call it out when we can. So there you go. That's Dracula's Curse. The next game is Perseverance Castaway Chronicles episodes 3 and 4. Now, this is one that I actually had intended to do a Should You Back dedicated video for, but I got hammered with getting sick when this launched and never got a chance to actually filming it for you guys, so I apologize for that. This is Mind Clash's Games' next installment in the Perseverance line. I did a video of episodes 1 and 2 when this came out, I believe in 2020. It was one of my first videos that I ever filmed. And effectively what that game is a Euro-style game, which two separate games in a single box that has a continuing story, and they promised that eventually we'd get 3 and 4 to finish the narrative. In Perseverance 1 and 2, you are on a cruise liner, some sort of thing, and you crash on an island, and you have to survive. So the first episode is to get off the crashed cruiser, the luxury liner, and to create some sort of defenses and an outpost from these dinosaurs that are attacking. Then in the second chapter, you have now established your city or your fort and your facility, and you're starting to kind of push out into the wilderness, but not really. In chapter 3, we have now fully grown Perseverance, the city, into a big workable city, and you are now working with the dinosaurs. You have learned now to tame some of these dinosaurs as you explore more of the city. And then in episode 4, in the culmination of this complete thing, you have now awoken an elder people that have lived on this island previously, who probably already controlled the dinosaurs at one point, and now you are trying to fight them and or survive and escape by repairing your crashed cruise liner. So those are 4 separate games all built into a single universe, and I thought the idea of that was super cool originally. But I have my Perseverance copy sitting down here that I backed. I still have yet to play it. Mind Clash games, I don't know what it is, but they've always held off a game idea for me of being just very heavy, and I have to feel like I'm I have to physically prepare myself mentally to play these games. Like, it's just an interesting concept. I will say this though, that when I got my first my episode 1 and 2 box, as I was unboxing it and kind of organizing it, I made a comment to my wife and I said, this feels like the last true great deal that I got from Kickstarter because of the price and the amount of content that I totally got in that box. What's surprising with that, if we go down here to the rewards, you can see that we need to look at the double rewards. Where are we at here? Expansion edition. Where am I looking here? Here we go. So there's 2 different editions that we're going to be looking at here. You have the Perseverance Castaway Chronicles episodes 3 and 4 standalone edition. So this is if I do not own 1 and 2, but I want to buy this, 155 euros. Then you have the Castaway Chronicles 3 and 4 expansion edition. So if you already own 1 and 2 and you don't mind having to use some components from 1 and 2, you can get this at a cheaper price at 3 and 4. So that's the difference between those. The price here at 125 is kind of close to what Perseverance was the first time. If I remember right, maybe we should take a journey down memory lane on Kickstarter. I'm curious. I remember it being around $100 for the first time. 135. So that's what we're looking at, 135. So that right there, that price, when I got this game and was unboxing, it felt like a very good deal, like one of the last truly good deals where I didn't have to spend $250 to get a game, because that's sometimes what it feels like, $250, $300 to get a game. So this is still in line with that pricing module. So just be aware of that. I'm very impressed with what we have here. Is this something we should be consider backing if this is something you're interested in? You're getting 4 games if you own all of them, or 2 games completely, set within themselves, which is kind of a cool idea. They do say on this one that the 4th scenario is more action-packed because it's going to be shorter because you're dealing with the natives attacking you as you have to make decisions, and it's all going to be much more quicker paced. So this one was one that I was very much curious of backing. I haven't backed it yet. Like I said, I try to back things very carefully now, but I am tempted to get it just to complete the set, to complete what I have, and maybe, just maybe, the ability to play all 3 chapters, because they have this chronicle mode now, which allows you to play a seamless non-legacy version of all 3 scenarios and a giant arcing story. That might be cool. That was originally what I wanted when I backed Perseverance, but because I haven't played Perseverance, it kind of reduces the need for me. This was the other game that was going to earn my pick of the week. Just got hedged out by the first-time publisher. So there you go. That is Perseverance. Real quick, as always, I like to talk about shipping. So you come down here, 29 euros on the high end of what we're seeing. Not really high end, but it is expensive. Standalone for 34, and taxes down here. I believe VAT is not included. So yeah, VAT will be calculated and charged after the campaign is done. And then sales tax is based on the state that you're originally in, and if the creator has nexus within your state. So that is Perseverance Castaway Chronicles. Okay, so we're coming up here on the end. Oh, what happened? I don't know why I came down here. Charcuterie, the board game. This is by 3WS Games, 2 to 6 players, 10 to 30 minutes. And this is every millennial's dream, to create a charcuterie board that is the most lovely piece of art that you could ever see. I personally have never understood the love and aspirations to building a charcuterie board. Maybe it's just something because I haven't done it before, that maybe I haven't understood the nuances of it. But I'm surprised at how much millennials love doing this thing. Okay, so what is this board game? Well, as it is, you are going to be building a charcuterie board by placing these different types of appetizers and treats on a board to create the most appealing aesthetically and scoring wise in the game. There will be different types of cards and requirements for you to go through, where you're going to be placing these items onto your board. And it's not just about throwing things onto a board here. You're going to have to be intentional about the placement and the stacking and the order and the amount of things, because there are different types of requirements and skills and things and that people are going to want to take advantage of. Overall, the game is doing very well, and it's very inexpensive to back, so that might be also why it's doing so well. It's got a print and play for $5 if you're interested in print and plays, but the $30, the Charcuterie board game, and this is really doing well. It's got over 2,000 backers, and they got the pairings one. I'm not really sure what you would want to pair that for, but it does have 173, maybe if you're getting a gift for someone. And then you've got the soiree if you want to get that. There's 9 people. That usually reminds me of like what a game store would be, but they're not limiting it to game stores, so just be aware of that. VAT and taxes are not included, so you'll have to be applicable for those. And we want to take a look at the shipping costs, because for the price of this game, we are hoping for an inexpensive shipping cost, and we're seeing that with a $10 total cost. So that's very good there. And that's probably why this campaign has been doing so well, because it's got a unique and cute theme that hasn't been done before, that is currently trending socially out there. So I think you got an inexpensive game, trending socially, easy to get. I think people are interested in that one. So Charcuterie, the board game. Coming up here on the end, we've got Valka from Terrible Games. This is 1 to 8 players, 25 to 60 minute play. And this is a card battling game where players are going to be playing cards from their hands that have different types of powers and abilities, and eventually trying to defeat their opponents. The unique thing of this game that you could call unique, they don't really show you any kind of gameplay aspects here. Basically, you're going to have 2 rows of cards. And you're going to play your cards to those rows, to the front row or the back row. You also have the ability to augment or to attach skill cards and abilities to your creatures, to your warriors, but you can only attach them to the back row. The front row is actually what's going to be doing the combat. So there's a kind of an interesting gameplay loop there. There's also the ability to make war bands, which will be stronger fighters if you play all of the same type of fighters. So there's a bunch of different types of fighters that you can play, and if you're able to get 3 of those types in the front line, they will be buffing each other. There's also a wild one that could be counted as any of them, but they're weaker as well. And your warband will be ceasing to be a warband if you get below 3 total of the warriors that have the same matching things. So that's kind of the idea of the gameplay. If all of your front row soldiers defeated, your back row moves up, and now that's in line to fight. If you are defeated and there's no more warriors on the board, you lose. So you're going to be trying to come up with some hand management system to play things to the right area, because moving from the front row to the back row is not as easy as you would like. There's a challenge there. So that's Valka. In a nutshell. They didn't really have anything for me to show you to talk about it. What is interesting and unique about this game is the gameplay's kind of unique. It's inexpensive at $29, so that's a pretty good price. But the art is pretty cool in terms of kind of an old school, like 1980s, early 1990s, kind of weird, gross art that I remember from like Cabbage, the Pale Kids kind of stuff. Some people love that kind of art. Some people don't. So it's going to be a specific type of audience that's going to appreciate this kind of stuff. But I appreciate they're coming in with their own identity and their own artistic take. I think that's really cool. So I'm really impressed with this one. So yeah, that is Valka from Terrible Games. And the final game on our list today is Alpenglow by Waterworks Games, 2 to 5 players, 45 to 120 minutes. This is also a first-time publisher. And this is a Euro strategy game where basically players are attempting to build up a ski resort in a small town by working together with the other players by building up the town, placing different types of structures and buildings, and eventually getting bus routes, which if people stop at your buildings, you get bonuses and rewards for that. And then taking these cards and building up different types of ski runs and building ski lifts to your runs to try to get the most points and skills from different types of riders going on your runs. It's an interesting, cute little game. I grew up in a ski resort, so it kind of reminds me of home in a little way. So I thought they were doing pretty good for a first-time backer. If we go and take a look at the rewards, you've got the base game for $59, not too bad. 892 backers. You got 13 backers backing at the retail price at $179. I suspect this will not be available in retail unless it's backed by a retailer. So if this is a game that you want to support a first-time publisher, you're going to have to back it through the Kickstarter pledge. The other thing to be aware of, if it matters to you, I've known some people have asked me to talk about it if I know it. This does use AI art with the creation of the game. I don't personally have an opinion on that yet in terms of where I stand, but some people are very against it. Some people are very for it. So just be aware of that. If that matters to you, I want to make sure you are aware so you can make the best decisions with your money as always. So that is it. The end of all the games for today's Kickstarter roundup. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to watch to the end of this for the blooper if you're interested in watching that. In terms of videos that you might be interested in watching, I did a coverage for, it's actually still behind me, my crokinole board. I just did a video on that. Didn't do as well as I thought the video should do. I don't know. I was interested in why it didn't do as well. But if you're interested in checking out that, I talk about my crokinole board, kind of my experience of why I got the crokinole board, and talk about why I love it. Coming up this week, we should have a vlog style video for my Twilight Imperium gameplay, so check out that. And then we're probably going to be diving into Deceased. So I haven't talked about that. It launched again while I was sick, so I didn't get a chance to actually talk about it. So it's a little late now, but I figured I might as well talk about it, give some coverage to CMON because, they always need it, right? But that's it. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye. Next, we have, we're going to do that again where I'm always way down on the page. Stars. Oh, dude.